Hi, I'm Tim Moss with Custom Guns and Ammo. Today I wanted to go over, just make a short video on how to prime the modules. So you guys that are advanced and know what you're doing, this video would probably be very boring to you. But believe it or not, I get guys calling me all the time saying that they don't know how to prime the modules, or telling me that it's impossible to prime the modules. And I'll ask them, well, what tool are you using? And believe it or not, they're trying to push the primers into these modules with their fingers. And it's just totally not possible. So you need tools to prime the modules. So today we're going to look at the modules with some primers. We've got a little tool to put the priming tool together. And what I recommend you guys get, and we'll go over a different way besides this one later, but this is an RCBS Universal Primer tool. And we're going to open it up. So I haven't opened this yet. Just got this out to show you guys. So this is the way it's coming right out of the box. So this is a primer tray. This is the charger. You squeeze it. Look what we're going to need to get out of here. Need an Allen wrench. Got an Allen wrench out of there. And we need the black insert. And there's a little set screw. Set screw is really not necessary unless you want to fix the handle in place. So do the set screw real quick. So we're going to put the set screw in here, and don't put it tight. What that set screw does is fix it in place, so you won't be able to operate it if you turn it all the way in. So this set screw, if I push this all the way in and I turn the set screw all the way in, it's going to keep it from coming out. Which the only thing I know that's good for is if you're shipping it, but I don't know any other reason to do that. So anyhow, there's a set screw. You don't need it unless you want to fix it in place. Now the other thing we have is that this is the black, and the black one is for the large rifle primers, is which we're using. So that's going to pop down that hole, and you're going to squeeze the handle, and we need to screw that in. So you can start it with your finger, and then get something like a needle nose plier, and you don't want to squeeze it real hard and mark it. Don't mar it up. And just rotate that around until it's in place. And just keep rotating until it stops. So it looks like it's in there. I think it's in there. You can check the side view to make sure that that head is below, which is below. Looks like that there will work. So this is the primer tray, and we end up putting primers in here. They're all going to be, top side's going to be down. This goes in the side, and this is going to feed your primers right into this depression here, and then you're going to take your primer module. Neat thing about this is universal size, so you can do from like a 32, if you have regular cases, 32 all the way up to, I know you can do at least a 45-70. So you set it in place, and then you squeeze this, and it's going to prime it. So let's go ahead and put some primer in here, and we'll prime a couple. So this pops off. There's got a little post, and that's what snaps into the center of this right here, and that's what holds it in place. So we're going to get some primers and put them in here. So this primer tray has ridges. So when you roll this around, it'll flip your primers in the proper direction. So just shaking that a little bit, switched them all except for one, so I'm just going to do that by hand. I'm going to pop this back in. You got to pop it in gently, because sometimes if you pop it in hard, it'll make the primers jump and it'll turn back upside down, like that. So you can go ahead and roll them around again and let the ridges catch them. Oh, I got some got out. So you keep moving around and they'll turn in the right direction eventually. So that batch turned in the right direction. Okay, they all stayed in the right direction. Well, it looks like we lost a couple. We put those in too. So you actually could feed some in this way if you just lose a couple. It'd be very time consuming to do them all that way. Okay, so we got about 10 or so in there. Now this thing has a little tab. You slide that tab and it'll keep your primers from coming out. So we put this right in here. We're going to open this little tab, and now the primers are going to start to flow into your hand primer. So they're sitting down there, and we feed in a module. And these are spring loaded, so they're going to open and adjust to the module. So a lot of guys are calling and saying, hey, what plate number shell holder do I need? You don't need any shell holder. These are universal. They spring open to whatever size, from 32 all the way up. So once that's in place, we're going to squeeze that handle, squeeze it all the way in. There, I squeezed all the way in, and now we have a prime module. So that's it. So I guess some guys would be prone to laugh at the fellows that were trying to do it by hand, but I can understand why you're trying to do it by hand. You know, some guys weren't raised with guns their whole life. Plenty of people could make jokes about me and computers, because I don't know what I'm doing with a computer. Just have to know what I'm doing with guns. So just that squeeze action. So you can see here as I squeeze, that primer raises, and that's the action that's happening. Just insert your module, squeeze. Now that's only partially squeezed, that's not enough. So it's a little bit of a workout. You gotta squeeze hard enough that it seats all the way. Now it's seated, it closed all the way. We've got a seated primer. So that's how you use the RCBS Universal Hand Primer to prime the modules. I'm gonna show you, in a second I'm gonna show you another way to prime modules. It's the way that I use most of the times, but I already have a reloading press. So guys that already have a reloading press, you don't need to get this RCBS hand primer. It's convenient, but you don't have to. You can just use your hand press or your reloading press, and I'll show you that next. So I told you we had two ways that we could do the primer modules. At least I have two ways. So we showed you this RCBS Universal Hand Primer. The other way you can do it is in your press. Now this is a Dillon, this is a Dillon 550. And believe it or not, I've had this for 40 years. I don't want to turn this into a Dillon commercial. I don't get paid for saying anything good about Dillon. But I've had this for 40 years, about wore it out, sent it to Dillon, and they rebuilt it, figured I'd get charged for it, and they sent it back free of charge. So really good products if you like if you like to get into reloading. The Dillon 550 is a really good one to do. But this is a real good, easy way to take care of your primers into your modules. So the way you do this isn't real complicated. You're just going to do one station. You can also do this on a single stage that is behind me. But this is all set up. What you got to do is change your shell plate. So the modules either come, the base is ready, the bolt face ready for a 4570 or a 308. So you just change your plate here. Doesn't matter the other stuff. This is all set up for a 300 Win Mag. I'm just changing my plate. For demonstration purposes, I'm not going to feed the primers in this tube. So they automatically feed if they're in this tube. I'm going to put them in one by one so you can see what's happening. But we're going to go ahead and prime these modules with a Dillon 550. All right, so we're zoomed in so you can see how we're going to do this. We're going to take a primer. Instead of sending it where it automatically primes, I'm going to show you by hand. And put it in the tray. I'm going to slide it into that little depression right there. Now, this part can be automated. I'm just doing this so you can see what's happening. So the primer's in here. We're going to take the module. We've got the module. We're going to slide it right in. Then we got the shell plate that fits the module. And all we do is push the handle. This is a lot easier to do, especially, you know, older guys that have the sore hands. You know, sometimes with that RCBS squeezing it, if you do a lot of modules, it's going to make your hand sore. So this is a lot easier action, just pushing down. In doing that, we have the primer in our module. So we'll do another one. Just slide the primer in, slide the module in. You know, the module is just like a very, very short 308. This is we did 4570 with the RCBS. Right now we're doing the 308 face. Just like a 1/4 inch 308 shell. You just slide it in, and we're only using the single stage part. We just push the handle, and you can feel it popping in. You can tell when it's seated all the way. It's seated all the way. We'll do one more. This is something you don't want to force. If when you're squeezing this or pushing on it, when you're squeezing the RCBS, you kind of just have to squeeze tight and it'll pop in. When you're doing it on a press like this, especially when you're doing modules that have been used before, these are brand new, so we know there's no burrs and all that kind of stuff in there. There's no carbon buildup, there's no dirt. So we can push these in, but you want to put steady pressure. If you get a lot of resistance, don't just push on it and try to hoss it in. You know, if you're getting resistance, you want to look and see why. Pull it back out. Okay, and this one's seated right. The second one we did, when I pushed in a little bit, we got resistance and then it seated. If I was pushing in and I was getting a little resistance and then it stopped at that point, well then you just want to let your handle go, pull it out and see what happened. You know, sometimes the primer wants to go in there a little wonky and you don't want to force that in. Let's see. We got 3 down, we're going to do just one more. And I think you guys got the idea. I'm going to slide it in. Slide in your module. Push the handle. And we got a perfectly seated primer in the module.